Good day, everybody. It's Andrew here, and welcome back to my channel. There's a lot of updates today regarding the next stimulus package and a new push for a $2,000 stimulus check before Christmas Day. So let's discuss the details, but before we jump into it, do me a quick favor. Hit like, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you to make sure that President Biden is keeping his promises. The promises he made on the campaign trail to increase Social Security benefits, increase SSI, SSDI, and VA benefits as well, and even approve stimulus checks for seniors. Now, Bernie Sanders is trying to get a stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package, and Democrats continue to negotiate that in the Senate. At the same time, we have a lot of stuff going on, like a new push for this $2,000 stimulus check. But before we jump into the news, I just want to ask you for another favor. If you really want to support my work, subscribe to my second channel. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video. And on that channel, we're going to have more entertainment, like we're going to play bingo. I'm going to be on camera playing live with a chat, so you guys can chat with me. You can chat with each other in the chat room. We're all going to play bingo, play casino games, play the lottery, things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to be giving away stimulus checks on that channel too. So hit subscribe, and the link to that is in the comments of this video. And again, thank you so much. We're about to hit 5,000 subscribers on that channel, and I should be launching that channel in about 2 weeks. I want to try and give away some stimulus checks before Christmas, so make sure you subscribe. Now, before we jump into the stimulus update, let's do a quick update on daily trending news. Now, this is a really cool article I found. It's called "The Worst States for Retirement in 2021. The cost and quality of life in these states could tarnish your golden years." Now, this is a series I'm going to be including in my videos. I think on every video, I'm going to include one of these states, and we're going to start with 25 and work our way all the way up to the worst state to retire in. So, number 25 is Massachusetts, and this is a tie with another state, and we'll show you the next state on the next video. So, the 25th worst state to retire in is Massachusetts, according to MoneyWise.com. Now, 25 is obviously like right in the middle, right? Because there's 50 states. 25th worst isn't really necessarily that bad. It really just means you're kind of average, right? You're kind of right in the middle. So, Massachusetts, the most populous state in New England, promises gorgeous coastal views, but chilly winters with plenty of snowfall each year. Think carefully about how much shoveling you want to do in your retirement, because you're going to have to deal with snow in Massachusetts. So that's definitely a big deal. I mean, my father-in-law recently retired, and we live in Illinois, in Chicago, and he's a snowbird, which means in the winter he flies out to Arizona and lives out there basically to avoid the snow and avoid the cold. So the Bay State does rank very highly for its health care, which is good for seniors. Wallet Hub says it has the lowest average insurance premiums in the country and the second highest number of physicians per capita, but it's also extremely expensive to live in. So although the insurance premiums are pretty low in this state, just the cost of living in general is extremely high in Massachusetts. Massachusetts holds 4 of the 20 richest zip codes in the country, and the real estate site Zillow places the median home value at more than $480,000. So usually when you retire, you want to downsize, right? You want your money to go further. You don't usually have kids to take care of anymore, so you want to buy a smaller house and use that extra money to take care of your health care and just kind of have a nest egg, right? But the median home value in Massachusetts is $480,000. So not only are prices high, but yes, the age of the housing is apparent. And it's not always historic charm that comes with it too. Sometimes you pay a premium for a drafty house, uneven floors, and for what? So you can live in a winter purgatory for a large chunk of the year? So the problem is these houses are old and expensive, and with old houses come a lot of maintenance, right? So that's the 25th worst state to retire in for various reasons, mainly because it's expensive. You don't really get a lot of value for your money. So guys, let me know your thoughts on that and if you agree. And if you're from Massachusetts, let me know what it's like. If you're retired or you're about to retire in Massachusetts, let me know if you like it personally. Since you're there, you might have some more insight. So with that said, folks, let's jump right into the stimulus update. Now, first of all, we're going to talk about this new push for a $2,000 stimulus check, but we have a lot of skeptics saying that this stimulus package might not get done at all, specifically because Joe Manchin might not vote for it. Now, this is a clip from Fox News, and honestly, they're hoping the stimulus package doesn't get done because obviously they lean Republican. So let's take a quick look and watch this clip from Fox News. Then we'll discuss what's happening with Joe Manchin and the push for a $2,000 stimulus check.
Joining me now, Russ Vought, Center for Renewing America president and former OMB director. Russ, always great to see you as well. February 18th, first of all, is not that far from now. It avoids an immediate shutdown, but doesn't keep us going very long. And we could have problems in the Senate, too. So, I mean, tensions are getting higher. There's a lot of other stuff on Congress's plate as well.
It is, and I think it's important to know this is the leverage point that gives the Republicans in the Senate and the House of Representatives the opportunity to prevent the unconscionable vaccine mandate from going into effect. And it's not next week. Next week is basically a failure theater. It's a vote. All of this is legislative. Next week's vote just allows for them to have a show vote and say where they are on the record. It does not allow you to stop it because it has to go to the president's desk without the pressure of a government shutdown looming to allow both sides to compromise. This is a funding legislation. It is not beyond the pale to expect that there will be a funding provision that says we are not going to fund this vaccine mandate while it's being stayed by courts. There's no reason for why that type of funding provision couldn't easily be added to this continuing resolution.
All right, so we've got that. We've got the debt ceiling. We've got Build Back Better. Talking to Karl Rove last night, he also wrote an op-ed in the Journal, and I just want to read this to you because this is what he said. I want to get your take. Karl says, the most likely outcome, in my opinion, is that Mr. Manchin will show the country his convictions matter. He'll vote no, and Build Back Better will fail. That's a bold statement. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not willing to predict that, but I think it's very possible that we have a shot at stopping it or changing it substantially. The two reasons that Senator Manchin has provided, the threat of inflation continues to get worse, and the fact that this is not actually in his $1.75 trillion top line. It is gimmicked up to $5 trillion. So on those two metrics, this bill is a failure and would suggest that Senator Manchin would oppose it. Now, we're not there yet, but he has been a man of his word, and so I have great hope and anticipation that we might have a shot at stopping this bill.
Right, and part of the problem with this bill is spending upon spending. I mean, we're spending so much. It's increased inflation. It's creating a situation where it's going to be very difficult to dig back out of the hole. Yet I feel the Democrats essentially feel like they need to do this. They need to get this done if they have any chance of doing it before the midterms, because there is so much in the air right now that people are unhappy with. They realize things could change.
Yeah, they want to hit the gas pedal, do everything they can to jam this through. There's a number of 4 different bills in play right now. They want to jam them all through, ignore the economic news that would...
Okay, so really good point. Democrats want to get the stimulus package done before these midterm elections. Remember, folks, we've seen a lot of evidence showing that every time Democrats approve stimulus checks, they win elections. It happened in Georgia with those 2 Senate seats when they promised a 3rd stimulus check. It happened in California when Governor Newsom approved a 4th and even a 5th stimulus check, and then he got reelected. This is why Bernie wants to include another stimulus check for seniors, not just to help them, obviously wants to help seniors, but also because a lot of Democrats think if they do this, they will win those midterm elections and maintain control of the House and the Senate. Now, personally, honestly, if we don't get at least one of the two, either Social Security increased or a stimulus check for seniors, I really don't think they deserve to get the votes. And folks, let me know your thoughts in the comments, but I honestly don't think they'll get the votes unless they do at least one of those two. I mean, really what we're hoping for is a stimulus check for seniors now, and then we're hoping Social Security benefit increases to happen sometime early to mid next year in 2022. Obviously, it's taking too long, but this is how these things go, especially when you have Joe Manchin slowing things down. Now, recently, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was asked about Joe Manchin and whether or not he thinks Joe Manchin will support Build Back Better. So let's take a quick look and see how Chuck Schumer responded and what he thinks Joe Manchin is going to do.
Wait.
You keep saying this person has time frame to get this bill
Yes.
passed. Senator Manchin has not committed to that time frame. You met with them Okay, has he given you any assurances that he'd be willing to move forward on this bill before Christmas?
We've had a good meeting with Senator Manchin today. We mainly talked about climate issues, and we're going to get this bill done with 50 Democrats before Christmas. That's our goal. Yes, next. Well, as I said, we're going to get it done with Christmas, and our goal is to get all 50 votes before then. Yes. I couldn't hear your... Well, look, I agree with what the president said in terms of people getting vaccinated. I think he's taking good, cautious, and peremptory action on the new...
Okay, so Chuck Schumer pretty confident that Joe Manchin is going to vote for this package. Now, one thing I want to point out is there are some rumors going around that supposedly the reason Mitch McConnell is kind of making it easier to raise the debt ceiling and approve government funding until February is because supposedly he got a promise from Joe Manchin that he won't approve the stimulus package before February. So let's back up here, right? Basically, Democrats are trying to get a lot of things done at once. They're trying to get the stimulus package done. They had to fund the government, which they got done until mid-February with support from Republicans as well. And then they also have to raise the debt ceiling by around December 15th. Otherwise, they're going to default on their debts. Their credit score is going to go down, and we could potentially fall into a recession. Now, with these three things happening, originally, Mitch McConnell was not allowing Democrats to raise the debt ceiling or increase government funding until February. See, Democrats are going to have a really hard time doing those two things without Republicans. And Mitch McConnell was holding out. Then recently he had a meeting with Joe Manchin. Then shortly after that, he said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and help Democrats. We'll extend funding until February. So there's no confirmation here, but the rumor is, and it kind of looks like he had a meeting with Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin said, you know what, if we extend the debt ceiling and extend government funding until February, I can guarantee you I won't vote for the Build Back Better Act until February once that gets addressed again. So that's just a rumor. We're hoping that's not the case. Chuck Schumer looks really confident that it's going to happen before Christmas, but that rumor kind of seems like it makes sense, right? Because why did Mitch McConnell all of a sudden change his tune and make it easy to increase the debt ceiling and approve government funding? We'll have to wait and see, but that is currently just a rumor, folks, so we'll have to see how that develops. Now, currently there is a huge push for a $2,000 stimulus check. So stimulus update, millions of Americans petition for more stimulus money as inflation takes a toll on finances. Americans push for $1,000 and $2,000 stimulus checks before Christmas. As Christmas approaches and Americans still struggle to pay for goods and services, many are asking for another stimulus check between $1,000 and $2,000. There's been a huge movement on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and users are using the platforms as a way to call on President Joe Biden to provide struggling people with more aid. There has been millions of people posting on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, saying that the previous stimulus checks were not enough. People are saying your one-time stimulus check of $1,400 did not give citizens enough money because of inflation. That was barely enough for 1 month's rent, and that was almost a year ago. Please stop acting like we are still living off of that. Thank you. So a lot of people are pushing for another stimulus check, and a lot of the major news headlines are giving people like us on YouTube credit for keeping this message alive, creating communities of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who continue to push for more stimulus checks, continue to push to increase Social Security benefits, and keeping President Biden to his word. Now, with that said, we have some liberal Democrats like AOC and Jayapal who want to include a $2,000 stimulus check in this current package. Then we have Bernie Sanders who wants to include a stimulus check specifically for seniors of at least $1,000. But again, we're hoping that reaches somewhere closer to $2,000. And again, full disclosure here, there's a good chance this might not make it into this package, right? We're hoping it does. Bernie Sanders is pushing for it. We have confirmation that he is trying to include this, and President Biden himself acknowledged it, but he said it could be as low as $800, and there's always a chance it doesn't make it, folks. It could end up in the next stimulus package in 2022, but this is what we're seeing. There's a lot of headlines of Americans and congressmen pushing for another stimulus check in the stimulus package. Chuck Schumer wants to get it done before Christmas, so hopefully the American people can have some relief. just in time for the holiday, because that would be such a good little Christmas present. So as Democrats continue to negotiate this stimulus package in the Senate, we should have a lot of updates in the next couple of weeks. So don't forget to subscribe, and I will keep you posted as things develop. Now, to end this video, I'm going to leave you with a clip discussing what is happening with the Omicron variant and the latest updates we have in regards to how infectious this strain is and how much it can cause severe illness. Now, recently we got some good news that Africa has not seen an increase in hospital admissions from the Omicron variant at an alarming rate. So far, things are looking better than we thought as far as hospital admissions caused by Omicron. But with that said, folks, stay safe out there. It's going to take scientists a few weeks to really come to a determination on exactly how dangerous this strain is. But let's take a quick look, see what's going on, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.
Hello, I'm Jake Tapper in Washington, where the State of our Union is trying to stay calm. New this morning, South Africa's president says hospitalizations from Omicron are not increasing at an alarming rate as more states across the United States confirm cases of the new Omicron COVID variant, and scientists race to understand how dangerous this variant really is. President Biden is laying out his plan to make it through what could be a difficult winter, including tighter travel rules, free at-home testing, and a major push to get more booster shots into arms. And while the concerns over this new variant dominate the headlines, the Delta variant continues to cause misery across the U.S. Nearly every state saw a steep rise in COVID cases over the past week, and the country is back more than 100,000 cases a day for the first time in 2 months. Let's go straight to Dr. Anthony Fauci, Director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and President Biden's Chief Medical Advisor. Dr. Fauci, good to see you. As always, so let's start with the Omicron variant. Coronavirus cases in South Africa quadrupled in just 4 days this week, reportedly spreading twice as quickly as Delta. But the South African president said overnight that hospitalizations from Omicron are not increasing at an alarming rate. So have you seen evidence that hospitalizations or deaths are rising, not just cases? And what does all of this suggest to you about this new variant?
Well, we're in really quite constant communication with our South African colleagues, Jake. They've really been very good about being transparent. They are giving that indication that you just mentioned. Clearly, in South Africa, Omicron has a transmission advantage, because if you look at the number of cases now, they were very much at a low level. Then they had almost a vertical spike upwards, which is almost exclusively Omicron. Thus far, though it's too early to really make any definitive statements about it, thus far it does not look like there's a great degree of severity to it. But we really got to be careful before we make any determinations that it is less severe or really doesn't cause any severe illness comparable to Delta. But thus far, the signals are a bit encouraging regarding the severity. But again, you got to hold judgment until we get more experience. But clearly, it is becoming the dominant variant in South Africa. The question for us here in the United States, now that it is clearly here in at least 15 or more states and in about 40 countries, is what is it going to be as it competes with a very dominant variant, Delta, which we have 99.9% of the isolates in the United States are Delta. And it's going to be very interesting to see when you have the Omicron, which is now clearly in our own country, and there is an indication of community spread. What's going to happen when you have those two competing with each other? It's going to be very interesting to do what we're doing now, watching it. But as you mentioned, I just heard you make the comment in the introduction, boosters are going to be really critical in addressing whether or not we're going to be able to handle this.
So let's talk about the vaccine, because you've said the level of vaccine protection might diminish against Omicron. There's likely still at least some protection, you have also said. At what level would you be still satisfied that the vaccines work against Omicron? Anything over 50% or 60% efficacy? What are you looking for?
Jake, you don't want to look for a specific number, but one of the things you do look at, and people ask this question all the time, is that the vaccines that we are distributing now in the United States and throughout the world are directed against the original ancestral or Wuhan strain. And yet, with Delta, when you get a level of antibody and general immune protection high enough, it spills over to protect against other variants. So we're getting quite good protection against Delta when you're vaccinated, and particularly when you get boosted. And that's the reason why we're saying, even with a new variant like Omicron, if you get boosted, you're going to get your level up, way up, and we feel certain that there will be some degree, and maybe a considerable degree, of protection against the Omicron variant if, in fact, it starts to take hold in a dominant way in this country.
So the U.S. has banned non-citizen travel from 8 African countries, including South Africa, but not from the roughly 36 other countries that have Omicron cases. The head of the United Nations slammed bans such as these as, quote, travel apartheid. Given that the U.S. is now imposing strict testing requirements for international travelers, and given that Omicron is here in 15 states, do you think it's time to lift the bans on travel from South African countries?
Yeah. Well, Jake, that ban was done at a time when we were really in the dark. We had no idea what was going on, except that there seemed to have been an explosion of cases of Omicron in South Africa. So when the ban was put on, it was put to give us time to figure out just what is going on. Now, as you mentioned, as we're getting more and more information about cases in our own country and worldwide, we're looking at that very carefully on a daily basis. Hopefully, we'll be able to lift that ban within a quite reasonable period of time. I mean, we all feel very badly about the hardship that might have put upon not only South Africa, but the other African countries. And for that reason, in real time, literally on a daily basis, we're reevaluating that policy.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin said this week that you've been using coronavirus to keep Americans in fear and maintain control. Take a listen.
Fauci did the exact same thing with AIDS. He overhyped it. He created all kinds of fear, saying it could affect the entire population when it couldn't. And he's using the exact same playbook for COVID.
Obviously, that's a bizarre and false assertion. President George W. Bush gave you the Presidential Medal of Freedom because of your leadership in the AIDS crisis, but I did want to give you an opportunity to respond.
You know, Jake, how do you respond to something as preposterous as that? Overhyping AIDS? It's killed over 750,000 Americans and 36 million people worldwide. How do you overhype that? Overhyping COVID? It's already killed 780,000 Americans and over 5 million people worldwide. So I don't have any clue of what he's talking about.
I don't think he does either. Dr. Anthony Fauci, thank you so much. Appreciate it.